Hey, what's happening? It's Tuesday, the 13th, the day before everybody starts spending all their money on people that they wish they didn't date. Yes, Lord. How's everybody? How is everybody? Hey, this is Oz on Smash Bros Radio. If you have not done so, please like, follow, share, and subscribe, as well as download our app. We have an app, so you can take us if wherever you want to take us. We appreciate you. We will go with you wherever you want to go. So if you have not done so, again, like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can find Smash Bros Radio. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram as well as YouTube. So please tell your folks, tell your friends, tell them to tell their folks, tell their friends, like, follow, share, and subscribe. As has said before, I'm Oz. You can find me practically everywhere. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube and also Facebook. Appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you coming in. Do not forget, put down on your calendars. Put down on your calendars. November 9th. November 9th. November 9th. November 9th. The Southern Bully Showdown 2. Oz is a proud sponsor of the Southern Bully Showdown 2. You can get in touch with DeJuan Hall at 205-460-6435. Once again, you can get in touch with DeJuan Hall, 205-5460-6435. The event will be held at the Bessemer Civic Center, 1130 9th Avenue Southwest, Bessemer, 35022. This show is number 2 out of 1. So, and hopefully this will be an annual thing that will be going on from now on. And so we hope that you will attend, bring your folks out. This is a way of introducing the breed to the community. This is a way of bringing kennels owners together to start a web, to create a big family. If you are curious about the breed, please come out. It's a family-oriented event. It also, if you have a truck, if you are a vendor, if you're a participant, please get in touch with DeJuan, set up. If you're also a sponsor, if you want to be a sponsor, get in touch with him. He's looking for vendors, looking for participants. He has booths that are up for sale now. You can check him out on Facebook, DeJuan Hall, or you can check him out at 1888 Kennel, Bully Kennel. So fantastic event of getting everybody together. And this way also you get a better understanding of exactly what the breed is all about. So we hope that you will participate, you will come out and enjoy yourselves. It's time to bring the family out. If you have dogs, make sure that the dogs are not in heat, nor are they aggressive. Make sure that they always remain on the leashes. So we appreciate you. We have a lot going on in the world. And because of us being so we're not really isolated because of the technology that we have now. It's pretty much opened the world to us. So it's bringing a lot of awareness of what's happening. You would have never thought that during the Super Bowl, simultaneously, we had a government that was massacring innocent individuals simultaneously. Now, people have said that it was planned. I wouldn't put anything past the Israeli government. So let me take a step back and make this disclaimer. The opinions, the opinions that are expressed on Oz are not those of Smash Bros Radio, nor of its affiliates. These are my opinions. This is my belief. If you do not know, I am a staunch supporter of the Palestinians. Make no apologies about that, and I'm apologetic about it. We have to become more aware, pay attention to what is transpiring. Pay attention to what is evolving. Pay attention to what is happening, because we can live in our own little bubble and claim that, well, this can never happen, but it's a domino effect. We are not isolated as much as what we would want to believe. We are fully connected, uh, more so than what you wish to believe. So, fear, I think people underestimate the power of fear, they underestimate the power of emotions. We know that adversaries have used fear as a motivation to provoke a strong feeling, to provoke a reaction. The orange tangerine idiot, Trump, is very good at manipulating, is very good at creating fear. And so, because of him creating this fear, because of him creating this propaganda bullshit that he provokes, promotes, creates, uh, his followers are quick to react. And it is as if these followers are mentally unstable or mentally ill. It gets close to, and I guess that I haven't really come to it, but I'm getting close to believing that it could be a cult. What up? Hey man, how are you? Hey, do me a favor, list your book so that way I can announce it on the show. I, I get hyper, and so list your book. Uh, my great nephew Curtis Cut Dog Knight has a book that is coming out. Raising, was it Raising Nas? And so it is a very good book. It's a book of love. It's a book of understanding the power that individuals have when it comes to a child's life. So once I get the book title and where to purchase it, please support uh, the book. Please get out and get it. So Raising Nas is out now. It's on Amazon and Kobo, Kobo. Raising Nas. Raising Nas is out now. Please check it out on Amazon and also Kobo. Um, it's a fantastic book. Uh, Nas is a Nas is a fantastic kid. Uh, he has a lot of determination. He has a lot of um, determination. He has a lot of uh, confidence, and that's because of the love that is surrounding him. So please check out Raising Nas and get it. You appreciate it. Um, see, even though we have fear, and fear promotes and provokes a lot of questionable uh, activities, of questionable actions. When you have love, love can conquer anything. Love can provoke, can promote, can demonstrate, can uplift, can uh, build up in the worst of situations and circumstances. So, Raising Nas is a book of inspiration, it's a book of love. And Curtis has done a fantastic job. And then we underestimate the power of children. We underestimate what differences, what difference can be brought when it comes to a child. In my 25 years of teaching, I have learned, I have witnessed that a child can change your way, can change your path. A child can actually save your life because that child has special powers. And you'd be surprised at the power, the inspiration, the motivation, the tenacity that a child will come to you. I've taught the biggest, the baddest, uh, the young men, young boys that uh, had nothing going for them, and it was because of their environment. But once they grew up, once they became young men, once they became men, and they became successful in their own right, and they started raising their children, that child changed the path of that individual. That child gave that individual a different perspective. And see, that's why it is extremely difficult. It is extremely um, horrendous. That is what is happening over in Gaza, that the world is turning its back or has turned its back on the plight, on the events, on the massacre of what is transpiring, what is happening over in Gaza. Now, it's one thing to go to battle or to go to war with an adversary, but it's another thing when it comes to you actually having no type of humanity. And because of fear that you have provoked, because of this propaganda that you have created, that it gives you some type of credence that you think that you can go in and that you can massacre elders, you can massacre women, you can massacre children. In the upcoming shows, I will. I'm doing research on exactly the beginning of Zionism, as well as the history of Palestine. Uh, Fear is used in a way, is a weaponry that is used to uh, give credence to why things should be done. Fear was used in Germany. Fear was used. We've had fear used here in the past 3 years with COVID. It was used unexpectedly, and it was used wrong. When you have a government that is not fulfilling its obligations to its citizenry, and you allow this fear of COVID, you allow this fear of a pandemic to grip you, to paralyze you, well, then you're going to do things that a person normally wouldn't do. If you had a household and you knew that your household was based on the salary, was based on the money that was created, the revenue that was created by job or by having a business, and then all of a sudden you have the government telling you that you have to shut down, well, that's going to provoke a fear. And especially when you have always been um, able to take care of your responsibilities when it comes to your family, then all of a sudden the government does not give you any type of directions, does not give you any type of suggestions, does not give you any type of directives. And I still state, as I have numerous times stated in the past, if Trump's administration had handled the pandemic correctly and properly, we would not have gone into it, and we would not still be suffering from it now. When the government tells you that you have to shut down and they don't give you any type of directions. They don't give you any type of way, or you know, okay, you want me to shut down my business. What about my bills? Because the bills are still going to come in, and those bills are wanting to be paid. So who's going to pay them? So no, I'm not going to close down my business because that's the only revenue that I have coming in. So if the government had closed down the entire system with relief, a sort of like a stipend that each family would be giving a government check to sustain them up until we can get control of COVID, then there wouldn't have been this panic. There would not have been this fear. There would not have been this type of arrogance that, no, I'm not going to do it. So during the civil rights movement, fear was being used. Any type of any type of conflict that we've had, fear was pretty much part of the equation because they people empower those that have this control, understand exactly the power of fear, the fear of losing your job. And I wonder really, is there really a concern? Is there really a major problem with integration? We've always had the questionable practice. It wasn't handled during the Bush's administration, both Papa and son. It wasn't handled in Obama's administration. It was handled in Clinton's administration. It was handled in Kennedy's administration. Not properly. And so, see, you know, when you talk about Kennedy, then that comes into the play about the Cuban Missiles crisis. Then you have the concern of Castro coming into power. And you had Cubans uh, leaving Cuba and coming to the United States. There was no limitations on or any type of guidelines or regulations when it came to the Cubans coming to America. See, we have examples of the past that can be used on how to finalize, how to, if possible, get a grip on individuals that come into the United States. And I agree that everyone should not be allowed. If you have a criminal background, you should not be allowed in the United States. The United States was built on immigration. The United States was built on having foreigners coming. And even though the WASPs, the mutants, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant individuals, the mutants, the white folks, even though they want to claim or forget where they come from, we were immigrants. We invaded a country, and that's the proper term, invaded. We weren't invited. We were not invited here. We came here. And then we took advantage of individuals who had never met any type of species like us. So see, they use fear again. You know, we can be pompous and arrogant all that we want to, but when it comes down to it, the United States was built on fear, was built on hatred, has blood, has rape, has massacres. We have a very horrendous past, and we're still propagating it. It's time for us to pay attention. It's time for us to re-examine. It's time for us to sit down and see exactly what needs to be modified, what needs to be changed, what needs to be totally just totally done away with. Corvette whipped our behinds. Corvette is still whipping our behinds. We have individuals, we have students, we have the next generation that are behind. And you cannot put the responsibility on the teachers or the school system or the educational system. We've always known that the educational system needed to be revamped, but not to the degree that certain political parties want it to be. You do not erase history. And people have to understand history was written by the conquerors. History was written by the conquerors. So there is some type of greatness. There is some type of truth there. And so with this little type of pompous attitude that we have, we shouldn't have it because we're not as great as what we think that we are. That's pompousness. That's being a peacock. We have to start paying attention. How we raising taxes? How are we collecting taxes? Those of us on Social Security, we were already taxed. Why aren't we taxed again? When did the taxing begin? Why was it begun? What was the reason for Social Security to be taxed? I mean, we're being taxed after taxed after taxed after taxed. Why aren't the 1% paying their dues? See, when you are raised in a certain environment, we have to keep in mind that if you're raised in a certain environment in which you didn't have to have any type of difficulty, and understand that each social level, each social economic level has its own problems. Just because someone has a lot of money does not mean they do not have issues or concerns or problems. It's just a different problem than what we have. But if you're living off of social, but if you're living from paycheck to paycheck, if you are an entrepreneur and you're being blessed and you're being able to expand, but yet you're still relying on insurance, well, then pretty much you're not really well off. You aren't any better than those of us who aren't entrepreneurs. Pay attention. Pay attention. Blessings can come from two sources. Blessings can come from either God or can come from Satan. We don't acknowledge that. Yes, Satan can give out blessings. That's why you see most of his people being prosperous. Anything that comes, you have to examine, you have to pay attention. Where is this blessing? Is this blessing actually a blessing? Or is it a curse or damnation in disguise? Because you're dealing with an entity who was raised in the truth, who was raised in the word, who knows the Bible backwards and forwards, knowledgeable, one that is so arrogant that he even challenged Jesus himself. But because of Jesus knowing the word, because of Jesus knowing the truth, he was able to fend off what was being offered. So we have to sit back and we have to pay attention to what we're doing. And you have to keep in mind too that what we're going through is what I call the teenage stage. See, Europe has already gone through this. Europe has already been there, done that. We're going through a growth spurt. We're going through a awakening, for lack of another word. For, there's certain individuals that don't like the word awakening because it provokes an understanding, it provokes knowledge. See, we're going through a type of growth because things need to change, but it's for a good change. Some things have to be abolished, some things have to stop. See, the Republicans are running on fear because they know that if they create or allow a balanced field, if they allow everything to be balanced, especially when it comes to election, 9 times out of 10, most Republicans are not going to be reelected because they don't want that playing field to be balanced. They don't want it to be equal. So they're going to set up obstacles. So you have to pay attention. What is happening overseas can happen here. You have the orange tangerine idiot who has stated that he would allow Russia to come in. Now, something just hit me. Let me go on the record and say, I am not anti-Semitic. I am not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-human. I'm anti anything that creates hatred, anything that creates an injustice, anything that creates division, anything that creates some type of a group being abused, being bullied. I'm anti. So don't throw up to me that you're anti-Semitic, because I am not anti-Semitic. I taught the Holocaust. I went to workshops that dealt with the Holocaust. But I understand too that the Holocaust did not only affect the Jews, but it also affected other groups. If you did not have blonde hair and blue eyes, if you did not fit that picture, that image that Hitler wanted, you were ostracized. So the Jews were not the only ones to be affected by the Holocaust. They may have been affected to a more degree, but they weren't the only group. You have to pay attention to who's maneuvering, who is behind the scenes working all the strings. You have to understand who the Zionists are. The Zionists are not Jews. The Zionists are not Jews. The Zionists are not Jews. They're not. They're not Jews. So you have to understand and pay attention to who's doing what. You have to pay attention to what statistics are being used. Who did this? Who did the statistical information? Where did it come from? Where did the information come from? You have to pay attention to who's reporting it. Give you an example. Back in the 80s, I think it was in 82, 83, there was a question about teachers coming out, future teachers. You had Alabama State University, you had AUM, Auburn University of Montgomery, and then you had Troy State of Montgomery. 3 public institutions, 3 state institutions. Now, Alabama State was known to have a larger number of future teachers coming out than Troy State and AUM. It was how it was reported, and the way that it was reported in that Alabama State was not doing what it was supposed to be doing, was creating teachers that knew how to teach. So if you have, say for instance, like if you have 2 individuals from Troy State taking the exit exam, and you have 2 people from AUM taking the exam, and both of them pass, that's 100%. That's 100%. But if you have like 20 individuals from Alabama State to take the same test, and only 10, only 5 passed, boom. So you have to pay attention. Wording, you have to pay attention to the words and how the words are being manipulated, what words are being used. You have to understand the source in which the information is being given. There is no reason in this world why individuals cannot be more educated, cannot be more informed, because nowadays you have more streams, more research places to go to find the information. You even have it on the phone. The phone, if you have Sirius, let me see what I can do. Sirius, who are the Zionists?
Here's some information.
See, all of a sudden it pops up. All of a sudden it pops up. Zionism, 19th century movement to establish a homeland for Jewish people in Palestine. Zionism is a nationalist movement that emerged in the 19th century to enable the establishment of a homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine, a region roughly corresponding to the land of Israel in Jewish tradition. And it gives you different places, different sources. So there isn't any reason for anyone not to have the knowledge. It's just that most of us are just lazy, and most of us really don't care. We don't wish to learn. And see, that's where we become captured and ensnared in that people of power, people that have the power, they don't want an educated citizenry. They don't want individuals to be able to think for themselves. They don't want individuals to ask those hard questions. They don't want individuals to inquire, well, where do you get these facts? Where's this information? See, in a good example, they use the race theory as a fear. And all race theory is learning about history, learning about pure raw history, the good, the bad, the indifference for each group. And understand, and please understand, please understand, please, and please stop saying that there's only one race, and that's the human race. Say it with me. There's only one race, and that's the human race. You have to pay attention. There's only one race, that's the human race. You don't have a black race, a white race, a Japanese. You don't have those. They're still humans. We're still humans. We have the same capabilities, the same organs, the same makeup. Just some people got better tans than others. So we have the human race. Now, under that umbrella of the human race, we have different cultures. You have the white culture, you have the black culture, you have the Korean, you have all these cultures that come together. You have to pay attention. One race, the human race, and each culture has its own way of doing things. Except here in the United States, we've been together for so long in that we have combined, we have merged. We have merged our diets. People don't seem to understand. Country cooking and soul food are one and the same. Pay attention. Country cooking, soul food are the same thing. I had authentic grandparents. When I say authentic, my grandmother was 40 years older than I was. Because I think that my grandmother would have been 100. I'm 64. So I think that my grandmother if she had lived, would be 101, 102. So see, I had authentic elders. Now my mama was 16. My dad was 19. But I had the real old school grandparents, great aunts and uncles. that came from the country, that left the country and came to Montgomery. So with them, they brought the diet with them. I know about chitlins. I know how to cook chitlins. Hey, Britt, I know how to cook chitlins. Surprise! I know how to cook. I know how to clean chitlins. I know how to cook chitlins. You get you some chitlins that come in that little red bag, a little red box or whatever. You put them in the sink, put cold water, you slush them around, and then people, and it sounds nasty, it really is when you think about it. You try to clean as much of the residue off of the intestine, because that's what chitlins are, they're intestines. But you cannot you cannot clean all of it off because you wouldn't have any chitlins. So see, I know how to cook chitlins. I know how to cook chitlins. You clean the chitlins, and if you do it properly, you do it twice, maybe 3 times. And I was taught you don't eat everybody's chitlins, and I don't. I don't eat chitlins period now because my Aunt Ella isn't living no more. I didn't even eat my grandmother's chitlins, and my Aunt Ella was the oldest of my grandmother's siblings. So see, I don't eat chitlins no more, but I know how to cook them. So you get your chitlins, you clean them, you rinse them 3 times. Then you get your stalk of celery, you get your Vidalia onion, you get you an apple, and you surround the chitlins. You surround the celery, the apple, and you have to have a Vidalia onion or sweet onion, and you can chop the celery. But I was taught you take a whole stalk of celery, place it in the middle, slice the apple, slice the onion in half, then you surround that with the chitlins. And it takes a smell. You can't take the entire smell of chitlins out, but it doesn't smell as horrendous or as nasty as if you didn't. So I know how to cook. So country cooking and soul food's one and the same. I know about greens. I know about mustard. I know about turnip greens, collard greens, mustard, squash. I know how to cook all of that. Cabbage. You have to pay attention. 2024 should be the year of paying attention. Should be the year of reviving. Should be the year of change. And we have to pay attention now because of us growing, because of us becoming more of aware. But where do we want to be 10 years from now? If you have children and that 2 or 3 years old, they'll be 12 and 13 years old. When your child is 13 years old, how do you want to be? Where do you want to be? If you're in your 20s, 10 years from now, you'll be 30. What do you want to be doing in your 30s? How do you want to be living? What type of situation or circumstance do you want to be living in? You have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to those individuals who are campaigning. Are they campaigning? Are they true to their word that they understand what you want? Are they representing your interest? I can't eat them anymore. I can't eat 2 reasons because it affects my blood pressure, and plus my aunt doesn't cook them. So yeah, I can understand the stomach. Yeah. So it's just time to pay attention to understand exactly what is going on. Again, we are going through the growth. We're in the teenage years. We're like, what, 400 years old? So we are in our teenage years. COVID has expedited the growth, has expedited this process. because it shut us down. It knocked the hell out of us. It knocked the wind out of us. If technology had been utilized in the schools like it should have been, we wouldn't have had this as much problems as what we have now. Because when you go off to college, you have these large classes are in these stadiums, in these auditoriums. And then on this huge screen, you have a professor who's cross campus doing his lecture. And then you have, what is it, grad students who are his assistants. See, and then you have, what is it, long distance learning. That could have been utilized in the schools too. There should never been where you would have snow days and all. Excuse me. You shouldn't. But see, that comes down to again paying attention. Why aren't all homes Wi-Fi or broadband? How come they don't have accessibility? How come every student doesn't have a iPad or an iPad or a laptop to go home? You have to pay attention. Who has control of established Wi-Fi? Who has control of a broadband so that every child, every household has accessibility to a computer, doesn't have to go to a library, that it can be done in that home? You got to pay attention. It can be done. And if you have individuals in office that have the interest of everyone, not just a select group, there's no reason for us to be in the predicament or in the shape that we're in. Every child that's in Birmingham's system should have accessibility to either an iPad or a laptop, with an understanding that you are responsible for this, and have structure and have an understanding. Because you have individuals leaving the blacks. Let's be realistic. You have individuals leaving Birmingham City, going to Jefferson County, or going to another school system, and you do what the white folks want you to do. But yet, when you're in the black system, and they're trying to get you to do the same thing that are the same regulations, the same rules, and all that, you don't want to do it. You want to bitch and whine and all this, but yet you take your ass to a white system, and then you all of a sudden you do what you're supposed to. You understand that your child can't use the school's phone. You understand that your child cannot be late. You understand that these are the recommendations. These are the qualifications. This is how it's going to happen here. You don't question anything. Pay attention. But yet, when you stay in a black system, you expect for the system to bend down to you. And the Birmingham system is notorious for bending down. And it should. These are the rules. These are regulations. You do it, you do it. You don't, you don't. If you don't, well, then there's consequences to your decision. No, your child cannot use the school's phone. No, your child cannot come in this way. No, you can't. No, 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 no. If you can follow the rules and regulations in that white system, you can follow the rules and regulations in that black system. There's nothing wrong with Birmingham City schools. And as in if all other professions, you're going to have those few who aren't about nothing, who should not even be teachers. But I would wager 98% of the teachers want to be teachers, want to be in the classroom, have their students' interest at heart. Pay attention. So see, COVID is still whipping our ass. We're still suffering from COVID. And I see 20 years more of COVID. COVID is still out there. COVID isn't gone. It's still out there. But we have a better understanding, a better grip on how to handle it. It's how you handle It's what you say. And I should be the one speaking about what you say. You just have to pay attention. You have to pay attention. Who is creating this fear? Who is creating this propaganda? Who is creating the scenario? Who has control on the information that is being given out? What group has control? Who are the CEOs? Who are the owners of the media, of the music industry? Don't be surprised when you find out. Don't be surprised. You have to pay attention. You have to look at how, and see, I go back and I apologize to KD. You have an individual who has shown his worth, has shown his value in the community. He has receipts. He has always given back to the community. So you have KD Dunn running for an office. He's always been in the community. He's always worked with the community. He's always been visible. He's always been active. He's always demonstrated the love for his community, for his district. And then you have this pompous ass whore who has no type of receipts. The only receipts that he has is that he's a whore. The only receipts that he has is that his granddaddy was a preacher, that his dad is a preacher, that he is a preacher, but he has no type of substance, no value. But because of his dad being a preacher, being this preacher, because of his granddad being this preacher, because of his popularity, you would vote and put into place, into position, an individual who has no receipts or has demonstrated any type of regard to the community or the district. You would elect him instead of overlooking KD, who has receipts. You got to pay attention. You have to look at the actions. You have to look at the fruits. And I have a problem. But you got to pay attention. We are in a growing spree. We're going to a growing spurt. And this is the time that we have to be extremely cautious. We have got to be more observant. You've got to pay attention to what is transpiring. There's no reason for us not to be informed. I've proved it to you because if you have an iPhone, if you have a phone, period, you have those search engines you can go to. There's the multiple search engines. One reason why people are learning more about what's happening over in Gaza is because of TikTok. See, the media works. It can be used in a positive way. See, during Birmingham's campaign, during Birmingham's civil rights campaign, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth was wise enough to know that if he invited Dr. King and his entourage to come to Birmingham, that the news media, which was a new source, was brand new because it was used during the Vietnam War. And see, people didn't know the tragedy, didn't understand exactly what the Vietnam War was. So Reverend Shuttlesworth knew that if King was invited, or if King came to Birmingham, and understand, and it's not reported, so let me go on record and say, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth invited Dr. King to come to Birmingham. King didn't even think about Birmingham. He didn't have Birmingham on his mind. And if I remember correctly, I think that King has suffered a huge defeat, which he had never experienced before in Memphis with the garbage strike. So he accepted the invitation for Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. And because of King coming, and because of Reverend Shuttlesworth understanding and knowing the power of the media, he knew that with the media coming, the media was going to showcase exactly what was happening in Birmingham. Nobody would have believed the stuff that was happening in Birmingham. No one would have understood the power of a water hose that could rip the skin off an individual. See, Reverend Shuttlesworth paid attention. He knew what he was dealing with. He knew. He had already had, I mean, he had experience before, years of experience. So he invited King, and as Reverend Shuttlesworth knew, the media came, the media broadcast and showed exactly what was happening with the marches, showed the firemen using the water hoses, showed the dogs attacking children. So see, the media, if it's used properly and correctly, can bring a source of information. We would have never known what was happening over in Palestine. We would have never known that the Zionist government, the Israeli government, are liars. And we need to quit using the word murder. They are massacring. They're not murdering Palestinians. They're massacring. You got to pay attention. Same thing when when we used to talk, when I used to teach about Custer murder. No, there wasn't a murder. He massacred the Sioux Indian nation. We don't want to use the word massacre. You got to pay attention. Murder doesn't sound as bad as massacre. This is a massacre. You got to wake up. You got to wake up. You got to pay attention to what's happening. Pay attention. A lot going on. I couldn't be a parent and have children. Parents are out. Oof. But I appreciate the parents. Parents are wonderful. Parents are sustaining. Parents are doing what they have to do. They know about the sacrifices, and they're doing whatever they can. But it should be a community effort. Churches need to stand up. Churches need to take their stand again and need to become a pivotal part. These mega churches, if they're not part of the community, then they need to become a part of the community. Got to pay attention to what these mega churches are doing. You got to pay attention to who these mega churches are supporting. Where's the revenue coming from? What are they doing with the revenue? What are they doing with the tithes and offerings? You got to pay attention. Got to pay attention. It is what it is. Appreciate you. Don't forget, Raising Naz is out on Amazon. Check it out. Naz. Raising Naz. Fantastic book. I will definitely begin. I met Naz. Fantastic kid. Fantastic. Takes the initiative. Takes the initiative. At his age, what child, what kid would take the initiative? What kid would even know what taking the initiative is? Raising Naz. Check it out, please. Get the book, please. Appreciate you. Again, if you have not done so, please like, follow, share, and subscribe to Smash Bros Radio. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. And also Facebook. Smash Bros Radio. Also download our app. As for myself, well, you can find me everywhere. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter. But I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Don't forget about the Bully Showcase coming up in November. We would like to see you there. OZZz is a proud sponsor. Get in touch with DeJuan Hall. And I will see you tomorrow. Y'all take care. Be safe out there. Peace.